Somebody who was having a listen to that chat, he's the principal solicitor of Wiseman Solicitor. He's got a wealth of experience in representing the rights of Queensland motorists. Andrew Wiseman, thanks for hanging on the line there, Andrew.
Hi, Michael. Hi, Clare. How are you? It's Wiseman Lawyers, by the way.
Wiseman Lawyers, thank you.
So what did you think of that, Andrew?
Look, I'll try not to put any personal views forward, but speaking from a purely legal perspective, A, he was operating a vehicle, and B, he was exceeding the speed limit, and that's really all the law cares about.
Yeah.
You might remember a couple of years ago on Edward Street, there was a cyclist speeding down there, collided with a pedestrian who was crossing the road on a green signal and killed him. So, these are the kind of incidences that the media don't seem to get all excited about, but they do happen, and at the end of the day, a vehicle is a vehicle, whether it's got a speedometer, an engine, or anything else. Like a horse doesn't have a speedometer, but it's still a vehicle for the purposes of your responsibilities to obeying the road laws.
Well, there's those kids on skateboards going down the hills out at Mount Gravatt too. They could be fined as well. Yeah,
well, look, I had a chat with Ian Maurice a couple of years ago about a guy up at Bowen who got done drink driving on a motorised skateboard.
Yes.
And at the end of the day, a vehicle is a vehicle, and the legislation certainly defines a push bike as a vehicle in the same sentence as a B-double truck.
The same sentence as a B-double truck?
I'm speaking off the top of my head there, but
that's
the
amazing.
vehicle is a vehicle, whether it's a Kenworth truck or a push bike.
Or a horse. That's amazing.
The definition of a vehicle is simply a device which is propelled through either a motor or force applied by the rider or operator.
Okay.
So whether it's, as I said, a motorised skateboard right up to a, I was being a bit silly using a Kenworth as an example, but the practicality is a vehicle is a vehicle.
Yeah.
And speed is speed. So if you're operating a vehicle and you exceed the speed limit, you're in breach of the law.
And does that sound like the sort of fines that people are copping?
Look, I haven't heard a lot of this happening, but at the end of the day, it's the same infringement as a vehicle. And when he says there was no demerit points, I'm not entirely sure that. I think there might have been a miscommunication there, because my understanding is that there will be demerit points. Obviously, if he doesn't hold a driver's licence, he'd be in the same position as a person caught unlicensed driving while speeding. If there's no licence, there's no licence to apply the points to.
Oh, no, Pricey, you've seen it.
I've actually seen the ticket, and it doesn't state a loss of any demerit points at all. Just says excess speed, 63 k's in a 50 zone. That's all it says.
Does the ticket normally say that?
He asked, but
I don't think ordinarily infringement notices don't state the points. So look, all I'm saying is he might get a bit of a surprise in the mail. But it just sounds a bit suspicious that he'd get a fine only with no demerit points for exceeding the speed limit by, I think it was 13 kilometres an hour over the limit.
So
so when he quizzed the police officer involved and, the inquiries he's made, let's just take it as read that he's not getting those. We've got to take his information. He was quite open with everything else. But if points are taken off their licences, well, let's face it, if they don't have a driver's licence, then there's no discussion on demerit points.
Exactly.
Yeah, simple as that.
Well, you could just give identification and say, I don't have a driver's licence. I suppose I could check on that, couldn't I?
Of course I could check on that too.
That's happening pretty much every time anyone ever has a dealing with a traffic police officer. So, the police will identify you, and, if you haven't got a licence for whatever reason, I guess, there's no licence to be demerited. But, as I said, if you've got a licence and the infringement that a particular hypothetical person gets has points, as I said, the law sees the operator of any vehicle in the same way as it sees the operator of any other vehicle. So just because it's not a car doesn't mean it's not a vehicle. So, I mean, you don't get, like for drink driving, for example, you don't get charged with operating a car, you get charged with operating a vehicle, which, as I said, includes horse, push bike. It does define boat as vessel, but it's the same section of the legislation, and train if you were that way inclined. But